The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast Podcast. This is episode 40 and I'm Julia.
And I'm Elaine.
Hello Elaine.
Hello, I'm still here.
Well done. So, we're here. How do people get in contact with us?
We are available. They haven't got to look far, have they, actually, anybody who's looking for us? If you look us up on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Potty Plotters, TikTok at The Potty Plotters, email us naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out our website pottyplotters.uk. I just thought I'd say that. That was quite good.
Well done. Do you
No
want
mistakes
to...
in that one.
No.
For a change.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
So what we've been up to this week?
Well, this week...
We've had a massive erection, haven't we?
We blooming have. And I tell you what, it is worth every penny. If you can get a big one, have one. Fantastic, Julia. Can I applaud you and Kevpot too, actually?
Thank you. Who knew that we were the dream team?
Well, who did and who does?
Yeah.
No T-shirts still.
No, we need some.
Well, I think we could get it done, but a polytunnel is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
A massive polytunnel, 30 foot by...
16 foot.
Yeah, not that we measured it every inch, Kevin.
No.
But we did, repeatedly. But, Julia, what is the difference between a polytunnel and a greenhouse? Now, I don't mean glass, I don't mean plastic. Growing in either or.
Right. Well, first of all, for your money, value for money, a polytunnel is probably better per square metre, unless you're going to get a really cheap or someone's going to donate you a greenhouse. But you're going to have a fairly massive polytunnel. I know on the market you'll see a lot of these small green plastic polytunnels. I'm not a huge fan of them, and I'll tell you why. We've seen that many fly around the allotment, haven't we?
Yeah.
That, and they don't last as long as the proper ones, and I just think save your money up and wait and get a proper one rather than going for the green ones, just because I've seen too much disappointment in them, really.
Yeah, good point. And also the green is dark.
Yeah.
So if you can get a clear plastic one and do that is much better, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but in terms of growing, well, I think of it as an all year round growing space. So I've got a 14 by 24 on my plot. I've had a polytunnel now for the last 11 years, and once you have one, you just don't want to go back. That's all I'm going to say, because you've got all that growing space inside, but it also extends the growing season by at least 6 weeks either end. So I can be planting my tomatoes much earlier in there than you would, but also I can go on much later in the season, and I can be growing things over winter, and it's much more protected. So although the temperatures do get down quite low, and it does get down quite low on this site because of course we have that high water table and therefore we are prone to the ground frosts, it just gives you that option to grow much later.
I'd say that, and you do get a lot more, I think, vegetables and flowers as well out of yours compared to my greenhouse, because as soon as my tomatoes are finished, I don't use it over the winter. I just literally wash it, which we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks, wash it all, disinfect it, and then leave it until the following spring. So far more productive. So maybe people need to be thinking about that in the future.
I think it's definitely not all sites will allow it. The site where we're putting up the Derby County one, that is purely polytunnels, because that is on quite a side of a hill, and they don't allow glass greenhouses because of the amount that obviously shatter up there. But not all sites do allow them, but I think they are worthwhile having, and it does give you that option. And I think for an allotment site, it means that people are on the site much more year round, so hopefully that will deter anybody who wants to break in or everything, because there's more activities on site.
Don't know what goes on in your polytunnel, but we'll leave it at that.
Well, all I'm thinking is, we did have a holiday in there once, and also, as a business opportunity, I'm just thinking you could set yourself up one of them hot yoga things in there, because once the heat gets up in that polytunnel, I'm telling you, Elaine, you know what it's like when we're doing the teaching in the community polytunnel. It gets really warm. Well, no need for electricity there, just a hot polytunnel and sweat it all out.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk.
So this week we are talking about clearing the plots. It's that time of year where everything needs to be moving. But when you think about it, Julia, why do we bother clearing them? Why don't we just leave everything and then start again in spring?
Well, the problem is that if you leave it, first of all, it goes all mushy and it gives all of things like slugs and everything a habitat to repopulate themselves. So I like to clear it out, and I like to remove all the debris because you don't want to be transferring any viruses or diseases. So, but it's also very cathartic, isn't it, Elaine?
If I said yes, I'm not really sure. It's the word, isn't it? That's the word, cathartic. Yes, it is actually, because it makes you feel good when you've had a big spring clean all over your plot, and then you're ready to hit it again in spring, aren't you? Yeah, that does make sense. The main thing for me as well is, as you said, getting rid of all the slugs and all the rest of it, because they do have a nasty habit of hiding in different places. But we, at this time of year, so late autumn, we could actually be planting different things such as broad beans and overwintering onions.
Yep.
Now, I don't do overwinter onions, and neither do you.
No. We've not had great success on this site because of the high water table, so it's not something that we particularly bother with. Garlic we do, but we're very picky about where we plant them because of the conditions down here. But I think it is important to clear your plot. It gives you that fresh start, and we are not going to be planting the same things in the same space next year, so it also gives you a chance for some people who are digging their plot to be able to dig the plot over. So clear everything out, dig the plot over, incorporate the manure if you've got it, or any fertilisers that you want to incorporate, or as I do with the no dig plot, I just top up the plot. So I clear everything out and then top it up with the new compost. So there's lots of good reasons for clearing your plot.
And definitely when it comes to clearing, as you say, it could be now the time to start your overwinter onions.
Yeah.
So tell us about your overwinter onions then, Julia, because I've had nothing but success, except not in winter. I like to incorporate loads and loads of sand, and unless you've got loads of sand on this plot, I wouldn't actually bother, because all it turns into is a quagmire.
Yeah, so overwinter onions, the ones that I've done, I've set them as seeds. I've not done them as sets. I've not bought overwinter sets. I just set my seeds earlier in the season rather than growing them from sets, because, as we say, there is a problem on this site in setting them as overwinter.
So leave them unless you actually want to get an early start and that you've got good drainage. But don't forget that onions do like a sandy bed. I don't personally.
No, it's a bit itchy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really hurts sometimes, doesn't it? So don't do that.
No.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
So we've talked a lot in the past about muck, and of course Bill the Muckman, who comes to visit us on a frequent basis. But I'm thinking about, not everybody has got a Bill who's in the background.
Yeah.
What about pellets and powders and all the rest of it? So there are fertilisers that you can buy in boxes, and also you can buy chicken pellets and so forth. Have you ever had any success with those?
Yeah, I have. I've not used the chicken pellets. I know you use the chicken pellets, and that's really good because, they're not bulky, they're already dried out, and they are slow release into the ground. Perhaps you can talk about them. But what I've used in the past is Grow Organic, which is a very concentrated compost that you buy as a bag, and you can either scatter it just on the top of your plot, or you can use it in concentration on different plants. And I found that really that works as a fertiliser. We use the horse muck and everything to bulk up the ground as well, and add drainage and improve the structure of the soil. But if all you want to do is add fertility, then the Grow Organic has been fantastic.
It does stink though, doesn't it?
It does stink, yeah, it does, but it's easy to manage, especially if you've got a site where you can't get any cars or anything on. It's nice and easy to use. But and you can use it as a compost accelerant and all kinds of things, so it is worth it.
And I do use chicken pellets, and I use them all year round, so that I use the main bulk of the horse muck at the end of the year and again at the start of the year, but then in between, things like strawberries and beans as well, I give them a smattering every now and again of the pellets, which does seem to boost them, that's all.
Yeah.
But at this time of year, Julia, there are bargains to be had because garden centres are moving them out in order to make room for things for Christmas.
Yeah.
So get in there and get the pellets stored.
Yeah, but if you're looking for a fertiliser, you're looking for something that's like a general fertiliser, aren't you? You're looking for I think it's called NKP. Is it the...
Have you made those up?
No. They're the things that you look for. You're looking for a balance of the NKP in there. So you're not looking for it to do anything specifically, just give a general feed and a slow release feed.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Christmas, I know that we've talked about it because the taters have all gone haywire and we're going to
Thanks
end up
for
with a
reminding
parsnip
me,
sandwich. I just thought I'd mention it once again. But Julia, I just wanted a quick word about what not to buy. Now, ironically, I was talking on site about this the other day, and actually it was Kev Blott who was saying how every year his sister buys him or his lad things that don't fit.
Oh, right.
Which invariably
well, that's because he's putting on a bit.
No, so what I'm going to say is that sometimes it's better to buy vouchers for people so that they can get what they want for themselves and at the right size. But when they say that gloves, invariably it says things like one size fits all, and they don't. I mean, look at the size of my hand to yours. Massive difference.
Yeah.
How is it ever going to fit? How is a pair of gloves going to fit me and you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people buy me medium gloves and they don't fit. They're still too big. They're too long on the fingers.
Are you on mittens?
I'm almost on children's. The only problem with children's is, although they're long enough in the finger, they're not big enough in the palm. So I have to go for the small or extra small if anyone wants to buy me any. But yeah, it is very individualised. So I wouldn't buy anybody anything like that. But I think if I was recommending something to somebody to buy, a good pair of secateurs is an investment, really. But not like your cheap set. You want something that you can sharpen, don't you?
Definitely. And the other thing is that my sister's left-handed.
Oh, right.
Christine, yeah. And did you know that there are such things as left-handed secateurs, left-handed scissors, left-handed shears? There are all these kind of things that people don't realise, but it is true. And she loves things that are specific for her. Now then, it's only when you're not left-handed that you realise how difficult it is as a left-handed person to work with things that are not made for you. So think about who you're going to be buying for. Work out whether or not it's a gadget that's a gadget too far. There are people in our lives that love gadgets, and there is me and you.
Yeah.
We struggle with IT.
Yeah.
Never mind a gadget. And how long is it going to last for? Ask us instead of buying for us. It makes more sense, doesn't it?
Here's an idea. Drop Kev hints about what you want, then he passes it on to your husband and he buys it, yeah.
Yeah, he does that all the
worked
time.
well, didn't it?
But I'm not sure. I wanted a hedge cutter, but thanks ever so much. It will come in handy, I'm sure, soon, whenever Kev needs to borrow it. Strange old world, isn't it?
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Well, if anyone would like to sponsor this podcast for the future, please do get in contact. I mean, we can do anything. We can demonstrate anything. You know, we can build a greenhouse. We can build polytunnels. Anybody who wants to sponsor us, we can do pumps and, you know, we'll give it a go.
Pumps? We can do pumps? What are you talking about?
Not like pumps on your feet.
I've got visions of pumps.
Pumps that you get your water out
Oh,
of.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
then,
can sponsor.
right.
You know, they can sponsor us. We can demo it, can't we?
Oh, yeah, we can do most things, can't we, given the time?
Yeah, we'll give it a go. Power tools, we can, you know, if a power tool person wants to sponsor us, we can do them.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should just stick with seeds and things
flowers
like that.
and
Yeah. All right then.
Elaine, I want to talk to you about setting seeds now for flowers for next year.
And it is strange, isn't it? Because invariably, because we're clearing everything, sorting everything out, we don't start to look at what to start to grow for next year with flowers. But yeah, what are you growing?
Well, I've just set some Astrantia seeds because we've gone a bit Astrantia mad this year.
Yeah.
We fell in love with them and we've gone a bit Astrantia mad. So what I did was I put them in the fridge for a week and then I fetched them out and planted them. And I've done that because apparently that makes them think that they've had a winter and then they need to grow, and they'll get growing, the seeds will get growing, and I'll be able to get them going as plants and get them established.
So if we get a cold spell, will they think that there's just 2 lots of winters?
No, because they'll be protected in the greenhouse.
Oh, right, alrighty. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you've planted them up, and you've planted them in a seed tray.
Yes, I have, and I'll tell you what else I've planted, and I'm going back to Keith. I don't know if you remember way back when we started this. That's a long time ago now. It feels like it. Gareth will confirm with that. But we spoke to Keith, and he told us that we should be doing our sweet peas now.
I do remember that, and he said that he always starts his round at the end of October.
Yes.
And we said, well, we'll have a go. So are we going to have a go?
I have had a go, and I planted them this week. Well, you've not been here. I've been very busy, Elaine.
Okay.
So I planted some sweet peas, and I'm going to give them a go. As well as our normal method, I am going to have a go with that method. But it's a great time of year. I know we're clearing plots and everything, but if you look behind you at my cold frame, everything that you see in front of you, I've either taken cuttings from, which was a little bit earlier, but also as I've gone round clearing the beds, I've noticed that lots of the perennial flowers have started to set seed elsewhere on the plot and little plants are growing. So all I've done is gone round and dug them up while they're still very, very tiny, and then I've popped them into some fresh compost, and already they've taken root and plants are getting established. So what will happen is over the winter months they'll grow. I'll be able to pop them on into bigger plant pots, and by next spring I'll have some really big healthy plants to get going with.
That's incredible, actually, because it's like a mini garden centre down here, isn't it?
Thank you very much. Yeah, but I just think it's a great way of kind of increasing your stock that you've got. So some of it will go on the allotment. Where it had set, I didn't want them setting anyway, so they'd just been hoofed out. And I shall place them where I want to place them. Also, some of them will come home with me and I'll plant them there, and we can use them on other plots and share them with friends. So it is a great way of doing it, but you can be planting lots of seeds now for next year for your flowers.
So I need to finish off getting my tomatoes out and then start all over again with seeds.
Because we're going mad on flowers next year.
We are, I love them.
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Well, thanks for listening, and perhaps we'd better get on and do something now, because it is nice today.
Well, I've noticed that people are queuing now, and I thought perhaps they were looking for a cuppa of some sort or other, Julia.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's all.
Yeah.
And but hopefully we'll be back next week, and let's see, because I want to talk about figs.
Do you?
I do. Yes. Now, we've never spoken about figs before, Julia.
No.
I think now is the time for us to do it.
Okay.
Not just fig leaves. I'm not talking about fig leaves
and
what happens with them. No, it's about figs.
Okay.
I bet Gareth don't like them either, does he?
No.
No, because it could be a dried fruit or it doesn't look very nice. I like figs.
I love them.
Do you remember fig biscuits?
Oh, yeah.
Flipping heck, where's that come from? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they used to keep you busy, didn't they?
The Plotcast podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.